Hello and welcome to version 7.9 release notes video review. So first up we have a new payment gateway called Stripe Elements. So this is actually a separate payment gateway to the regular Stripe gateway. So if you're wanting to move to this one, it's really just a matter of switching over to this one, and you can use your same API keys from Stripe that you're currently using. But it is a different gateway, so you need to change the settings over to that. And the benefits of this new gateway is that it has support for multiple payment methods. So we have the normal card or credit card payment method, and that's the default shown here. We have the link, which is Stripe's sort of fast track payment option. If you save your details with them, you can just put in your email address and it will remember your payment profile and move you through the checkout a bit quicker. And then we have the Apple Pay and Google Pay. So these automatically show up depending on the user's setup. So I'm currently in Chrome browser and I have Google Pay enabled, so I'm seeing the Google Pay option. If it was a Mac user on Safari or an iOS device with Apple Pay, then they would see the Apple Pay options. So that's just an automatic setting based on the user's system. The other cool option with this gateway is the ability to style it in a lot more ways than previously. So just jumping into the admin, if we go to settings, and so we set up the gateway in the usual place, but this time we would choose Stripe Elements instead of the Stripe one. And under the Appearance tab, there's a whole bunch of customization options, including your own custom CSS, so you can really customize this to a high degree. There are built-in themes, so the default Stripe theme, night and flat. So if I was to switch that to night and save that, just do a quick refresh there. Okay, and we can see the fields changed over to like a night mode, or dark mode, I should say. If you want to customize that yourself, you can just turn the themes off. So set the theme to none, and then all the options become available, and you can customize those to your heart's content. Okay, the next item on the list is the improved module settings structure. So for custom modules or system modules where we have access to the settings, this is just a bit of a move around of settings just to make it a bit more intuitive and to make way for the next feature that we'll talk about as well. So if I look at one of my custom modules and head to the settings, okay, mostly the layout here is the same, but there's a few differences where some of the features that were previously in the properties tab have moved over here. They're more global settings, so it made a bit more sense to put them into here and declutter the property setup. So in particular, the item settings section has a few extra features there and that are from the properties tab. Site user permissions and extension settings are basically the same, but the advanced settings is also the same options that we had available before. But when you're setting up grouped modules like parent-child relationship modules, as the option here allows, we have a bit of a different user interface, which is just trying to be a bit more visual because the old settings were a little bit hard to get your head around what they did. So we have different options on how you can set up the parent-child relationships based on how you want that to work. So as it says here, you can do unlimited nesting, so you can just keep putting folders within themselves and putting child elements at any level. You can choose to nest under parents only, so items can only be created within a folder, not on the root level directory. And you can have restrict it to two-level nesting, where you just have items within top-level folder structure. And then, of course, we can turn on multiple parent items, so an item can exist in multiple folders or parents. So again, all the same settings we had before, just trying to make them a bit more intuitive. Okay, and of course, This makes way for the new property management feature, which is next on the list. So this is the big update for this release. And where we previously just had the ability to add custom modules or to the module, and they would just list in the order that we assign them, we now have a whole layout layer on top of this. So we can still create new properties just as we did before, giving them a name, selecting the type of field that we want. All those functionalities are still in place. We now have the ability to hide those properties from the admin editor if they don't particularly need to be displayed there, particularly with some of the system fields. But we also have the ability to group them into their own accordion blocks. So anything here on the left side are properties that are available, and anything on the right here are ones that have been made visible for the admin editor. So when you go to the module listing and click through to edit an item. So you can see the top box here is for system properties, indicated by the little grey tag there, and the bottom box is for custom properties. So we can see I can move this over into any of the sections that I've created here into any order, just by drag and drop, or we can rearrange items in this side or disable them as well so that they go back to the left hand side and aren't visible in the admin. So we also have the ability to customize the layout in terms of columns, so we can stack fields or inputs next to each other. Currently we do this just with this toggle switch here, so we can do a 2-column, a 3-column, or a full width. So although the icon shows 6 columns, I think this is for future improvements where currently they're just working on getting the admin more flexible in terms of smaller responsive columns, particularly for the input fields, just to make sure that those inputs keep displaying correctly and don't break if they're too small. So once that work is done in the background, we might see a bit more fine-tuned layout options here, taking advantage of the full 6 columns. But at the moment, we've got the 3 settings. So again, we can edit any properties that we've set up in here, just as we could before. And the extra functionality here is that we can now create sections. So creating a section can not only give it a name, but we can add notes to it as well, just like we can with properties themselves. And we can display those notes inline or as a tooltip like we see here. And this is the inline version. Now these sections can be moved up and down as well to reorder those. And the really cool feature, I think, is the role permissions. So now we can actually set admin user roles with different permissions for each of these sections. So you could have an admin user that can see some of the properties for a module and an admin user that can see the whole lot or another subset. So really fine-tuning who can access what information, not just the module itself, but the properties within the module. So that's a really cool new feature that we have. The other extension to this grouping or sections is that when you create or when you generate the form code for a front-end submitted custom module, so I'll just go to a demo page here to show this. So if you're using front-end submission for custom modules and you grab the create form or the update item form, I'll select my team custom module. So when we grab the code for the form, paste that in. Okay, you'll notice that we now have a heading for the item settings. That's the default group or section. And then there's a new field set created with another heading for the contacts, and that was the second section that I created. And all the properties or inputs are nested under that heading and in that field set. And then for members as well, and so on. Now the create form obviously includes all the properties, even the ones that you've displayed or turned the display off so that they're normally hidden in the admin. These will still be in the form code because you may still want them in this case. They may be hidden or whatnot. So they will still be added, and they'll be added to their own group just called other custom properties or other system properties. So they will still be included, but in their own section. So you can easily locate those and strip them out if needed or hide them. So the form generation will honor the order and the sections as well, which is pretty cool. Okay, and just a little note on the migration of this. So all your current setup will still migrate across. There was some issues with the ordering of properties with the first rollout to the trial sites. This is going to be addressed for the final rollout, of course. And I think now what's happening is any current module will just keep the existing layout. So prior to this release, it'll just have the same layout that we're all used to, but you can go in optionally and create a new layout based on the sections that we can do now. But any new modules created would be done through the new layout management. Okay, next on the list we have improved admin user role management. So again, the previous admin user roles was just a big long list of checkboxes. We've nested checkboxes under those for the permissions. And this was getting a bit hard to manage, particularly now with all the extra features that keep coming on board. That list is just going to get longer and longer. So now we have a much nicer interface for managing this. It's all been reorganized. We now have headings for different sections. So all the content related modules are in one section. We have CRM modules in one section and so on. And then we just have the modules listed, and you can click the edit icon to drill down into the permissions. So that's mostly all the same method for setting permissions. It's just now reworked to a better layout. But the really cool feature with this layout is the ability to filter and search. So if you're looking for something particular, say we want to adjust things to do with contacts, I can just search for contact and it will just filter anything to do with contacts that it finds. And that just makes it super easy and quick to find. Or if we want to see for this particular admin user, all the things that have been disabled for them, we can just quickly view all those, or likewise for enabled. And we can just drill down to one specific section. If we just want to view CRM related modules, then we can just view those as well. So a really nice interface there for getting to those items really quickly and managing those. Okay, next on the list, just have a little rework to the portal branding. So in your reseller portal, where you would set up your branding styles for the logo and the background image for the login screen, that's just had a bit of a tweak, a bit more intuitive on the way that works. No real feature changes there. Same functionality, just a more intuitive workflow there. And of course, lastly, just a list of bug fixes here. So have a read through those to see if they affect your current projects. And yeah, I encourage you to have a look at the layout, property layout management feature. That's really cool. And please give your feedback in the forum. If you can get any of your feedback to the team, they might be able to implement that before it finally rolls out and adjust that sooner than later. Okay, thank you very much.